Well, another hunting season is upon us. We made it another year. Ain't that something? So my plans for this year, I'm going to fall back a lot on my spring scouting. I knew of a lot of big bucks last year that survived. I scouted some areas, learned the bedding a little better. Planning on moving in on some of that. I've just been leaving it alone, letting those big bucks get a sense of false security. We're going to do the Public Land Challenge again this year. That should be really fun. And we're also going to do a little get-together challenge, bee style, going into a big woods atmosphere and ripping apart an area that has no food plots, no fields, no crops. And I believe the hunting public's going to be there. Exodus is going to be there. Tenacious Hunter, a couple other people, the Beast Crew, and we're going to go in and show how everybody hunts that property down and what kind of results we get. That should be a really fun hunt. I'm hoping to tag out in Wisconsin and expand onward. I always like meeting new people online and going and hunting their areas and stuff like that, and just trying to experience the country and show the viewers how I go into a new area and succeed. But one of my biggest hunts for the year, for me personally, probably not for my viewers, most of my viewers are deer hunters, but I really got a passion for bear. And there's a hunt I really love in northern Minnesota, about 50 miles from the Canadian border. That's a hunt that really trips my trigger. We get back in the wilderness and do a do-it-yourself hunt that's a 8-hour one-way trip just to bait. So we drive up there 8 hours, drive back 8 hours after baiting. But it's set up way better than Wisconsin here. For the do-it-yourself guy. In Wisconsin, to be a successful do-it-yourself hunter and to compete with the guides, you really have to live in the bear territory, and I don't. I'm 2 hours from bear territory, and it's set up much better for outfitters than us. I mean, they start baiting at April 14th, so the bears are living on bait in Wisconsin all year, and that makes it real hard for a guy traveling, because you got to, you're only allowed to put 2 5-gallon buckets out in Wisconsin at a time, and you can never exceed that limit. So if I go up on Saturday and I put 2 buckets out and it's gone Monday, that time period between when I bait again, those bears just wander to somebody else's bait. And what they really want is they want a consistent food source. So it makes it really hard for a resident of Wisconsin, or any do-it-yourself hunter in Wisconsin, to consistently kill big bears on bait and do-it-yourself style without help with the baiting. So when I found Minnesota, Minnesota has better laws. They're set up with, for the do-it-yourselfer. They start baiting around middle of August. This year it started on August 13th. Bear hunting always starts, no matter what, on September 1st. So I go up August 13th and I bait. I go up August 20th and I bait. I go up August 27th, I bait, and I stay and I hunt. But I can put out way more than 2 5-gallon buckets. I put out all the bait I want. So it makes it a lot easier on me. I can actually, even though it's an 8-hour one-way trip, it's easier for me to do than to hunt Wisconsin in the do-it-yourself fashion. Now that's not to say I don't hunt Wisconsin and I don't have success in Wisconsin. I've killed some big bears in Wisconsin. As a matter of fact, my biggest. But it is a lot more difficult hunt. I also like the wilderness aspect of that far northern Minnesota. I mean, we are in the middle of nowhere. So I went on a scouting trip up there midsummer because I haven't drawn a tag there in 5 years, and checked my old baits and looked at bear activity in the areas, and made sure I had enough spots for my group to go. Because it's such a far trip, and because there's so much work, and because problems can arise while you're up there, I make sure I go with a group of people, and a group of people I trust. So I'll have 4 people with me. Well, including me. There'll be 4 hunters. And we've done this trip for... I've been hunting Minnesota like this for 20 plus years, I think. And we've never not tagged out. And the longest it's taken is 4 days. My last bear up there was a 12-year-old sow. The one before that was a 15-year-old boar. We're doing pretty good up there. And I'm really excited about this hunt. So I thought I'd take you along on the scouting and stuff, and the baiting, and we'll do this as a series, and we'll eventually get into the hunts, which are coming right up, because I'm going up today to check the cameras, and next week I'm going up there to bait, check cameras, and stay and hunt. So it should be a great time. I'm expecting a lot of action. Well, enough talk, let's go scouting. We just set up camp a little while ago, and we're up here scouting, and trying to find the old baits that we had that were really good, and maybe find some new ones. And this area here is one of the spots where we had a lot of hits on a bait back in there. What I like about this is there's a lot of cut popple in here and stuff, and hardwoods and stuff the bears would like, but there's real cool swamp back in here, and every time we come we got to cut the trail back open. This goes way off into the wilderness, and we got to be careful going back there because it doesn't look like anybody's driven back here since we did. So it could be quite the mess. I know we're back there quite a ways. Hate to get stuck back here when it's just us two, so we'll have to be careful. But I'm going to walk in there a little ways to make sure it ain't too overgrown. We might have to cut some trees out of the way with the chainsaw, because you can tell nobody's been driving back here at all. It's just a tangle. So it's going to be something to squeeze a Ford F-150 through here, but we'll do it. The last time we hunted Minnesota, it was me, John, Steve, and Tyler. Tyler, also known as Big Hunt on the website. Tyler decided he didn't want to apply again the next year, that he was done. And I think he regrets that decision, because now he's asking to apply again if there's an opening. But we only take 4 guys. But when that created an opening, this time we chose to take Chris Conroy. And the reason I chose Chris was because he's helped us with bait, not only in Minnesota and Wisconsin. He works in a food factory, and he has lots of access to bait, and has helped me tremendously with my bear hunting and saved me a lot of money. So he had a lot of interest in going. He's never shot a bear before. He's experienced in the wilderness. He does a lot of western hunts, and I've hunted with him during gun season, and I trust him with my life, which is what you need in the wilderness. So he got the invite, and he's really excited to go, and I'm excited to have him, and I'm excited to see him get his first bear.
All right, well, we came in through kind of a clear cut, and it turned into a real thick jungly area, and pushed our way through to an area that looked like a good area for bears. And coming through here, we found a bear trail. Following it over here, we found a nice deadfall, and right next to the deadfall here, there's a bunch of bear crap right here. And this area is all beat down and matted down, so it looks like it's pretty good trails coming through this way, all the way out and around back there. So
yeah, this wouldn't even be a bad spot to put a bait. You got deadfalls right here. you put it up against it like this and you hunt out of that tree, and they got to come around to give you a shot, kind of a natural crib.
No, looks good back
And I was walking behind us here where the swamp, where it comes out of the swamp, and there is heavy bear trails coming out here. This is a spot to mark. Maybe we'll come back.
Yeah, I marked it on the map.
So we're at the first bait. Last time we baited this quite a bit and had a lot of big bears coming in here, but never ended up hunting here. We never got this far and we all tagged out. We got a tree set up right here. Some pine branches have grown in the last 4 years. I'm kind of happy to see some of our logs got saved, probably because of the oil soaking into them. This is where the bait was right here. You got branches back there to block back access because they like to come right through the back and then you don't have a shot. Obviously they collapsed. We'll throw some more over that. But we'll put the bait right here. We'll cut that one little tiny branch that's blocking our shot. And then that's where the stand will go. And the only wind that would screw us would be a north wind of some sort. The bears are either coming out of that dense tangle or down in there along the river. And this spot's pretty remote. I like that. There ain't anybody getting back here.
I don't know how we got back here.
Yeah, we just drove our truck right through the woods. But it looks pretty good. What do you think?
I think it looks really good.
Okay.
Nice
and then
setup.
we'll probably put a camera right on that tree right there.
Okay.
Right away when we start the baits.
Perfect.
All right, let's get out here and go to the next one. I haven't been down this logging road in, I think 4 years or 5 years, one of the two. This is your first time coming back here, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of this road?
I didn't think this was a road.
Right now we're already, what,
Oh, we're
2 miles into the wilderness?
at least.
Yeah. Gets a little sketchy on these roads. I mean, I'd hate to have to walk out of here. But this road goes to the best baits, so it doesn't look like anybody's been using it. We're going to just kind of bust it back open to where it was last time we were back here. Let's go find it.
I don't think this is a road.
I hope we're on the road. It's hard to tell. This is the most bear sign I have ever seen anywhere scouting for bears. And in past years, it was never like this. There's a real bad drought going on in northern Minnesota this year. Matter of fact, it's sparking up fires. And while we were filming the baiting in this video, a fire broke out 35 miles down or upwind of us and was blowing right at us. And when we left, we heard all about it. We were a little worried our area was going to get burnt up, but I think they got it contained. Now, the much anticipated rain they need is supposed to hit us tomorrow when we go back up to check the cameras and to rebait. But that drought has got the berries way down, and when you get to northern Minnesota, there's no acorns. Too far north for oaks. It's there's no crops, no food plots. It's nothing but wilderness and a lot of pine, which is nothing for them to eat. So these bears are really hungry, and that's probably why we're seeing all the sign, and are even visiting the baits way more than normal when the baits aren't even active. They still smell the oil in the trees and stuff from 5 years ago. So after 4 years of not coming back here, it was really difficult finding this spot. It's pretty remote. Even though we drive way back, getting back in here near the swamp was important. And we had to go through a tangle like you wouldn't believe. And we searched around and found a spot. But this particular spot, I killed a 400-pounder here, and a guy I took up here killed a 400-pounder here. We've always had really good action here. And what's interesting is all of these spots, when we find them after 4 years, the bears are still coming in and leaving sign. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at this. The tree has been recently clawed. See that?
Oh yeah, it's all
There's
gouged up.
nicks all over everything. There's nicks on this one that are fresh. And the bear trail is still going through here real heavy. You see that?
Oh, it goes right through here, right through the bait, and right around the side.
Yeah, I killed a 15-year-old boar. He came out of there, came in here, and I shot him right here from that tree right there. Well, a lot further back than I thought I was.
Oh.
Take a look at that pumpkin. He crashed right into this log, eh? And he's got a good pumpkin on him. Big heavy bear.
Good job, Dan. Oh yeah, he's a big one, man. Holy smokes. Good job.
All right. You know what? Let's go right through here. To that spot here. It's real mucky.
You lose your boot again? Whoa, hold it. Tyler's going down.
I love this spot. We were having a hard time finding this.
Oh,
this is so thick in here and everything looks the same.
Yeah, this is a long ways. Which tree were you using now?
I was using this one here. Can you
Oh,
see the
that
little
pine
open
tree, yep.
spot?
Yep.
The
Back
last time I hunted here, last time we hunted, I left too well of a trail and some hippies followed me back here. I think they're wolf patrol is what they call them. And they came back here and looked at everything and kind of went dead. And then when I sat here opening day, a bear came in and circled all the way around me and walked underneath me. He never came to the bait, but walked underneath me. It was about a 200-pounder and I let him go. And then I had a pack of wolves come through feeding or hunting.
Huh.
You always have fishers on this spot. This is a really cool spot. We are probably half mile from where anybody could get near this.
Oh,
And to drive back here, you have to leave the road like 3 miles ago.
oh yeah, we came. This was a rough way to get back here.
Yeah, and even when you get back here, this remote, bust the trail, we're still, what do you think, 500 yards from where we can,
Oh, from the where you can't get any nearer
through
the
dense
vehicle.
crap, yeah. I love this spot.
We were in the middle of a really old clear cut, and we found this pine tree here. It's got scratchings on it, and walk in a little bit here and start noticing a game trail. And you can see how the logs, the old logs, are patted down, and that's from bear coming through here. You don't see any hoof marks from the moose or deer or anything. And it's got to be something that can weave through this stuff. That's pretty good bear sign. And back here we found some logs that were overturned that had, where a bear was looking for grubs. Some ant hills that were ripped up. So this is a good area. Little guy. That's like a 90-pounder.
Is it?
Yeah. Pretty small.
Old track though, right?
Yep. Not too old. Last time it rained. Big moose tracks coming in. Going right through that trail there.
Yep.
Here's some bear tracks here. Right there's a pad. Some toes. There's a pad with some toes. There's one in front of it coming back the other way. Not a monster though. But this is probably the only place there's water around here. It's so dry. But there's a lot of bear tracks right here.
You're just walking out a little.
Yeah. Here's a fresh wolf track right here. Yep, right there.
Oh, yeah.
Baiting started on August 13th this year, which was a Friday. And we were all planning on going up. Everybody wanted to go. Because that's part of it. I mean, part of the experience is going up there, putting the baits out, looking at the sign, the anticipation about what's going to get hit by what.
We had to circle back. John blew a tire on the trailer. So, fun times. Put too much weight on that trailer.
There's on this side.
do we got going on here, John?
Same flat tire.
Yeah. Same crap. Ripped that whole thing off again, eh?
Oh yeah.
Ooh. Every time we have a blowout, that happens. Look at this, the wheel well is just hanging under by a thread. I tell you what, they say bear hunting's dangerous. Changing that tire on the left lane was dangerous. We had semis just missing us. It was crazy. But we're back on the road. Apparently that's too much of a load for that trailer because we blew out last year pulling a load like that too. But it's gonna be fun seeing what happens with that wheel well. It's just hanging on by a thread, but we couldn't break it loose. See it just vibrating in the wind. What do you think of this? We come from what, like 80-degree temperatures to, what is it here?
60 something, low 60s.
Yeah, rain and wind and crazy. Hey, I think some deer hunters camped here. You know why?
Why is that?
Look at the size of this hoof I found.
Oh my gosh.
You know what size deer that would be? To leave a hoof like that?
That's a moose.
Holy cow.
That's
I mean, put two sides on that thing.
That is huge. You sure it's not a cow?
I don't know, I think it's a deer.
That thing is huge.
Holy cow. That is crazy. Well, we're finally up in bear camp, ready to bait. We got John running the camera over there. We got Chris in the back seat.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, hey.
Exciting times. We only saw one bait truck the whole time up here, and I'm not seeing a lot of flags. I saw one flag on the side of the road.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot less hunters than
that's good, yeah.
Been an eventful trip here. John had his tire blow up and blew up his wheel
Fender,
well.
yeah.
His fender.
Well, that's standard for bear hunting. I mean, every year.
Yeah, the last one I did it. I did it in a downpour at 2 in the morning, so I have you beat.
Oh, that sucks.
But generally, we do damage to every vehicle we bring up here. And last time we had all kinds of crap going on.
Yeah.
But this time so far, we haven't even put a bait out yet, and I broke the running board on the passenger side off my truck, and John blew up the trailer. So we're on a good start.
We're doing good, yeah.
So this spot here, this one's the first bait. It's closest to town. It's kind of an overlooked area. It's all real high up here, but studying maps, we found that this drops down and there's like a low area that runs through here. It's got a little bit of water flowing, and the bears, we assume, will follow that drainage. So we set up a bait along there. It's been a pretty good bait. I don't think we've ever hunted it, but we always have a lot of bears on it. We never got to it because we always take out before we get to this far. But we're going to get that one baited first, and well, let's go.
All right.
Does that look good? Yeah. Might have to knock some of this stuff out. We're going to need to anyways for shooting. Yeah. And that little tree there has to be busted off so that we can shoot at an angle to over here. Yeah. The bear might even come in from over here, I think, right? Alright. So this is the first spot. As you see, it kind of goes down into this cool swamp where they bed. I mean, in past years, they seem to come out of the swamp right there and come over into here. And there was actually, the trail was padded down coming in here. So it looks like there's been bears back here. And those scars are kind of new. This hasn't been baited for years. So it's been 5 years since we had a permit.
So I've got different kinds of cookies and donuts and all kinds of crap, oils. We got 3 buckets here. Chris is going back to get 2 buckets, and then we got a bag of donuts too. So we're gonna have 5 5-gallon buckets full of premium bait, and we're gonna have a bag of donuts too besides. And then we have a variety of oil-based scents. Should be pretty good. John put the camera right here, aiming down into that spot, and the kill tree is probably going to be right there. Not a lot of room in here with how thick it is to shift around, but based on a westerly wind, that should be a pretty good spot. What do you think, John?
Yeah, it looks good. There's going to be bears here.
Yeah, last time we had a lot of bears here and we had a moose.
Yeah, it's going to be a good spot. Someone's going to kill a bear here, I think. Definitely.
So we got the first bait done. Poured cherry juice on it, sugar over. We got barbecue sauce, even some salad dressing we had. Put a little of everything. This whole area stinks really bad. We used, for attractants, we used anise. We used cherry extract. We used a berry extract. We used some pure cinnamon. That's really, the odor's so strong it almost makes your eyes water. And we sprayed on everything, and we covered it all with huge logs. And this one is done. We got a nice shooting lane coming in here. 20-yard shot. I think it's about perfect.
That tree right there in the middle.
Right before we left, a huge storm whipped through my area, and it took out our power. We were out for about 12 or 14 hours, but Steve had his power out for like a day and a half. He had to get a generator to save all his food and stuff, and he didn't want to leave his wife in the dark, so he told us he couldn't come up scouting. However, to his credit and my surprise, we got a message just as we were arriving up, their power's on, and I'm heading up. So he met up with us while we were baiting, and joined in.
Okay, we're going to do some off-roading here. We're going to go into the woods right there. And Chris is going to sit in the back and dance with the spiders in the branches. And John's going to Steve's going to get into our truck with John. And we're going to go do some off-roading.
Yeehaw!
If there ain't a road, you just make a road. What do you think, Steve? You like this trail?
Oh, this is it, baby. Make your own road.
Whoa!
I should have brought the chainsaw in. I remember this one though vaguely.
How's the ride?
It was a little rough back there. Had to duck a bunch of times. Almost took my hat off a few times.
If Steve looks familiar, that's because he was the owner of Forge Bows, and he ran that company for many years. Now he's retired and enjoying life a little more and trying to run with us young guys.
So this bait here, we navigated down an old logging road that hasn't been used in years. We had to push through the brush to get back here. Last time we hunted here, it didn't have a lot of bears, but it had some pretty big ones. Behind me here is a large swamp, and nobody's really baiting this end of it because this end of it is really remote and hard to get to. There's some outfitters running the other end, and I know that they get some really big bears. So we're going to try this side of the swamp and see what happens. I believe we'll get some action. It's pretty obvious that bears have been here since we baited here last because they're still leaving sign. It's been, what is it, John, 5 years?
At least 5 years, yeah.
5 years?
I think 5 years since we've hunted here, yeah.
Yeah, and in June, a bear marked the trees up in here so, during the rut. So the trails are still being used. You can still see the bear trails coming through here. So I think some of our bears from last time are still using this. It should be fun.
Yeah, you see some bears here.
John's got a camera set up there. We got a hole in the tree right there to hunt out of. It's a pretty nice spot. I was reading up on a bear study where they collared the bears and watched them when they came out of dens for the first time in the spring. And the study covered all kinds of stuff, but the one thing that really caught my eye was these bears would be going on a crosswind when they come out of the den, with the wind hitting them from the side, until they smelt a food source upwind. Sometimes it was a roadkill, sometimes it was a dump, but they would travel, they would turn on a dime and travel into the wind directly to that food source, sometimes over 10 miles. So it makes you wonder exactly how far they can smell. Now when we put these baits out, we spray them down with all kinds of scents, and oil-based scents that stay. We use vanilla, we use anise, we use a cherry extract, we use all kinds of stuff. And those scents will trigger old memories. So if that bear fed at somebody's bait that used anise for a scent, he'll be like, ah, I smelt that before and I got donuts. If somebody used vanilla and he smells it and he ate at a vanilla bait 2 years ago, he's gonna go, I smell vanilla. Oh, that means cookies. So what's interesting, a lot of people don't know, is that if you study the bear's nose, much like a deer, they got a vomeronasal organ which breaks down the odors. So they can smell all different things at once. So they don't smell like us. They don't smell a blend. They don't smell a wedding cake. They smell the sugar in the frosting, the berry flavoring, the flour. They smell every ingredient separately. The vomeronasal organ separates that stuff. So I make sure there are several scents out there that will trigger those old memories. This is the tree Steve likes so much. Sits up on this hill and shoots down into the swamp to his bait right there. They're coming back right now. I don't know if you can hear them. This spot, this hilltop here, is all blueberries. Here you can see a little tiny one. All these bushes are blueberries. They're all eaten. Every one of them's munched on. You see the tops of the bushes have even been chewed on a little bit. Here's a couple of blueberries right here. And look at that, that rock there has been flipped. So there's a lot of bears in this area. I think this is a good spot. Hopefully Steve gets some action. The last 2 times we hunted here, 2 times ago, Steve had a cinnamon coming in here that was a little bit small. And then last year, he wanted to shoot it, but a nice black came in. Or not last year, 5 years ago, a nice black came in with a V on it. And as he shot that one, the cinnamon was coming in behind it. So I'm hoping that cinnamon's still around because it'd be pretty big by now. It's a pretty remote spot, and we seem to see the same bears over and over again at the same spots, even multiple years later. Despite what you might believe about that. Bears with crazy markings, and you see them 5 years later on the same bait. It's amazing. When we get done baiting these spots, they smell so strong that we can smell them coming up to them the next week from hundreds of yards away. And all the little critters, the chipmunks, the fishers, wolves, other bears, carry that scent down the game trails all over the place. And the longer that bait's out there, the more the bears start coming. Come on, Chris.
Not much.
I see something funny.
What's that?
Come here. You know where John's broadhead is in for shooting that last bear? Look at his broadhead sticking on the log.
Oh, wow.
See it?
Yep.
John's broadhead sticking out of the log.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here. You didn't get it out of there, John?
Your broadhead sticking out of the log.
There it
From
is.
the last time we were here. When you shot the bear.
Be careful. Right here, huh?
Yeah.
Yep. Nope.
This is your
Right
broadhead.
Well, that marks my spot.
Yeah, it ain't coming out of there either. Maybe. Probably have to have
there. I
pliers.
wouldn't toy with it.
Cut my arm open.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
What is it, like 150 miles to the hospital?
Yeah,
That would ruin your day.
we just throw you on the bait pile.
Yeah.
No sense in taking you to the hospital.
Right, just bear bait.
Yeah,
Just
Yeah.
that's it.
Squirt all over the log.
Just when you're pouring the donuts over me, open my mouth.
There is no cell service in most of the area we hunt. It's getting better. They started putting some towers up back in the woods, and there's a few spots that now we have cell service that we didn't used to. However, a lot of the areas we go into, your phone will not work. And we're driving miles and miles and miles from a gravel road that gets used 5 times a day to an area that, through an area that nobody travels. Maybe once a year, maybe gun deer season, a few people go back there. So we really got to be cautious. It is good to have 2 trucks with us so that we have a backup. It's good to have somebody who knows where you're at. Now, we do have an outfitter friend up there, Jim Wallner, and I have his number in my phone, and if I can get service, I can get a hold of him, and he knows the area well enough he could rescue us if we have a problem, but we have to be able to call him. Got to have a good compass with you. Got to be able to read your way out, and you better keep that phone charged. I have all the maps of the area downloaded, so without service I can still look at Onyx and still look at how to get out if I have to leave the logging road in order to get out. But it could get pretty hairy way back there. Last trip up, while we were baiting, we wanted to go hit a spot that was really good last time, and we got to a V in the road, and it's not really a road, it's an old logging trail that doesn't get used anymore, but it's on an Onyx map so we can see it. And the Onyx map showed the road goes straight, but we can see a road going to the right. So we get there and we're like, which way do we go? And Chris was navigating and he said, well, the map shows the road goes straight and this is just some sort of cutover to connect it. We should probably stay on the straight one because it'll probably be a better road. Well, it wasn't. We went up about 100 yards and got into the road getting narrower and narrower and narrower till it just disappeared and emptied into a swamp. And then what do? I couldn't back up 100 yards. So we literally had to, go right over the top of some trees and stuff and maneuver around till we could get the truck turned around and drive back to that cutover, and that cutover was where you're supposed to be. Now when these are logging roads and they're logged in there by who knows who, they're not always that accurate. Sometimes it doesn't hurt to stop, walk a ways ahead, walk back, just make sure you're not going to get yourself in trouble.
Oh, this is ugly.
Yeah. We don't want to get stuck. We're in the middle of nowhere.
They didn't come down here.
So we could park back in that opening back there for hunting here too. Then it ain't so bad to drive back here. Moose trap right where we parked. There's a big moose trap. Look at that. There's another one right here. This one's fresher.
Right there. Track right there.
What were you saying about the rocks?
They're all flipped over along this trail all the way up. There's big rocks like this big just tipped on their sides, all flipped over.
Yeah, even that anthill looks like it's been ripped up and fixed.
It's definitely a good spot.
Yeah,
Excellent.
we've
Swamp,
killed 2 400-pounders back here.
beautiful area.
Look at the trails coming in and out.
Yeah, the game trails are being used. You can even see the moss is dead. And what's interesting, we haven't baited back here in what, 5 years.
5 years.
And look at this. Game trail's still coming to it. Here's fresh claw marks from not too long ago. There's fresh ones on there. I mean, look at that. Right in there, it's still sapping. But there can't be any baits anywhere near here because we are so remote.
This is definitely a good spot.
I mean, I think we're like 5 miles from the road.
Oh, at least.
This is just dense swamp back in here. And this goes for miles, miles and miles. I'm really excited about this spot. Good. Good to see they're still coming in here. Look at this trail, it just beat.
Moose tracks, man.
I hunted right out of that tree right there. I killed a 400-pounder out of there. I put a friend in there. He got a 400-pounder. Last time I hunted here, I had a bear circle walk underneath me here. This is a really good spot. I like this.
So when we get off the road and get back in, there's a huge advantage to that because outfitters pretty much run the gravel roads, the actual roads, but they're gravel, and they go in circle fashion. So they don't go into stuff where you go into a dead end, come back. They don't drive out an hour, drive back. They want to be able to drive around in a circle and end up where they started because it's more efficient. They have to put out a ton of baits for a ton of clients, and they have to be efficient. If they're running back in and out, it would cost them way too much time to bait.
Yeah, literally. Ooh, big holes, big holes.
I still see, oh, look at the grouse in front of us. See it?
Yeah.
He went in the bushes there.
Literally, they came in here with a weed whacker.
Yeah, because this was just solid brush last time we went through here.
This goes to the
Beaver Pond.
Beaver Pond one.
Yep. We should be coming up on it any second here. There's berries. Whoa. And here's the opening. There's the Beaver Pond right here. Oh, it is dry as a cracker fart. Well, there's some water back there.
Is there?
Yep, yep, good.
Yep, there's a little bit there.
All right.
Yeah.
So this spot here, this road used to be just completely grown in like this brush, and we drove over the top of it, but somebody cleared it out now, and there's a path going through here. kind of nice to be able to drive back here, but that means that traffic's going to go by us when we're hunting because the bait ain't that far in. Nobody was using this last time we were in here. We got a beaver pond over here. You see lots of berries too, strawberries, there's raspberries over there because of the opening from the beaver pond. And I could see water over there standing, and there's not very much water this year. So nice swamp back there, good clear cut over here that goes in the swamp, and there's water here and over a little bit, and the travel corridor goes right through here. And there's bear trails that go through there, and we cut them off right over here. And last time there was a really big bear coming in here. There was 2 boars, and Tyler shot the smaller boar, but the big boar's still around. Maybe we'll see. It's a pretty remote spot.
We got the 6 bait set up now. It's a good setup right in between 2 ponds. It's a good bear route right through here. We've had a lot of bear activity here in the past. Big bears coming in, many different bears. We had one of our guys, Tyler, shot a nice bear out of here about 4 or 5 years ago. So we have a lot of thoughts that this is going to be a really good bear this year. We're going to bait this year. We're going to see a lot of bear out of this, and somebody's going to kill a bear here. We got it all different kinds of bait on it, fry oil and cherry juice, and sprayed the trees down just to get the scent in the area.
That smells good.
Yeah, you can smell it. It's really strong. Bears are going to hit this today. So this is going to be a hot bait. Somebody's going to kill a bear here.
There's the bait. It's nestled into a hole that's under this pine tree. The trail goes through here. There's a beaver pond over there, a beaver pond over here, as John said, and there's a travel corridor right here where the bears travel from a swamp over there on the other side of a clear cut to a swamp over here. And this doesn't seem to get a lot of action, but it always seems to get the bigger bears. The biggest bear we hunted last on this bait here. Tyler shot his bear right out of that tree right there, that dead tree. We're a little leery of that dead tree, but it's pretty much the only thing we got to hunt out of in here without clearing a huge path. Because this is a jungle when you get back into here. This is about where we got to be.
So the roads are where the majority of the baiting's going on. So when you get into the wilderness and you get to the backside of these swamps, you'll be the only one on that backside of the swamp that has a bait.
Holy cow, is that a pile of poop? Big bunghole. That's nice. All full of choke cherry seeds. And we've got a bait we're going to put in right over there and right up here. This is nice. So the thing about that bear poop there, that was pretty big diameter poop.
Yeah, good size. Yeah.
So that's a big animal. We got a berry patch here. Just over the hill is that bait where you like.
Yeah.
And we've got that history of that giant bear.
It's a good sign.
And every time I've seen his sign coming in, it's coming up this road going that way. So that could be him.
Yeah, definitely.
And that ain't that old.
No, that was fresh.
It hasn't even been run over. It was right in the trail, you know. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, cool.
Get a little further up the road and the bears are flipping the rocks, eating the grubs and stuff. Look at this, ripping apart the logs. Yeah, you see it, rocks all the way up there are being flipped, where they're eating the worms and stuff. This is a lot of bear sign. And that bear poop was just back there. Look at all these rocks he pulled out. Look at that. He was digging that stump apart too. See that? It's all thrashed. He's blocking the road on us. He doesn't want us going back there. He's saying, put the bait right here. Yeah, that's good enough. That's off the road. Oh, cool. Look at it. Ripped up everything in here. So those bears aren't too smart. I don't think they're going to find donuts under those rocks. They're going to have to come to a donut pile to get donuts.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But I'm thinking that they're running this road and they're going to run right up to our baits. Nobody could have been back here because the rocks are blocking the road. And poop was right down the road. It would have been ran over.
Bears are flipping over rocks looking for grubs in there.
That's a pretty good sign back here. I think our baits are going to get hit right away. I mean, that's a lot of sign for not even having a bait back here yet. Okay. And here's where we split the baits. So we'll get those guys in this truck and park their fancy truck here, and we'll head back to Moose Pond. Now, one thing I've seen with these baits is, over the years, is that when I put them out, bears are pretty leery of them. I know they smell them the first day, and they come in. And I've had them on camera circling the bait, but not coming in. And then a few days later, you see them on the bait. How many do that are out of camera range? But I think those big boars are really leery of the bait. And then when we go back in and bait, you'll see that a trend of it got more and more and more bears right up until you rebait. And then when you rebait, you watch it go dead for a day or two. And about 3 days after you bait it, or you rebait, those bears start hitting it real freely again, when there's no human scent in there for 3 days. So now, I've noticed that over the years over there, and that's different than Wisconsin, where in Wisconsin they're baiting from April 14th on. Sometimes you can pound a bucket on a bait, and the bears will come running. They're a little more leery, and they don't see humans as much. They're a little more scared of people. So they're a little leery of that bait for a couple days after you bait from that human scent. So we're going to try and time our baits so that when I go up the bait the last week, I'm going to put that bait down 3 days before we're going to hunt. And we're not going to go back in, check cameras, none of that, until it's hunt time. And another thing I've noticed is that, like, most people will drop a camera in there later. We have a camera in there the whole time. We have particular trees picked out. And every time we go to that bait, we will walk past the trees we think we're going to hunt out of, and we'll walk past the camera into the bait. And it's the same route every time, and it's the same people. I don't want new people in there next to the bait, because when a new scent gets in there, just like a dog can smell a different person, they kind of freak out a little bit. They also freak out a little bit, and we're seeing this on camera. This is from years and years of experience looking at these cameras. If you go and you drop a camera on the back side of the bait, an area you don't really walk, right before the hunt, watch the bait go cold for a week. Now those little guys will keep running in. I'm just paying attention to the big ones, because that's what matters, how they react. Now, what's different between me and outfitters is a lot of times the outfitters will bait every day or every other day. So they're never seeing that 3-day fluctuation with the big bears that I'm seeing. I've seen that even during the season, once the season started, you start baiting more often and checking cameras more often, and you watch your bears go down. You know, the number of hits, the number of big bears, you watch it start to decline. When I force myself to know, okay, this bait has a big bear on it. I don't need to know if he's there every day or whatever. I'll find that out when I hunt it. So I'm choosing those spots to hunt based on the wind and not going in there. I've also noticed that once you hunt a spot, it's a lot worse the next time and the time after. That's not to say we don't kill bears on the same spot we've already hunted,
But that first time in tends to be our kill time.
Look at this, Steve. Look at the size of that track. That's a big moose.
That's a big moose.
Walks right into the water, eats himself some lily pads.
Wow.
Yeah.
They've been in here.
Look, moose wedgie. Talked about deer wedgies, here's a moose wedgie. Lots of moose back here, holy cow. Look at how deep they sink. Here's how deep I sink. It's incredible. The bears live right back here, and we've got a bait right back in there. And that's an incredible bait. I had four or five bears come in last time I hunted here, and had an interesting encounter with one coming at me when I was in my tree. This is a great spot. There's a big beaver dam over there.
I spend a lot of money on bait. Now my group of 4 people all split the cost, but it adds up. Premium bait can cost $100 a barrel. And I will use stuff like, I will get 4 barrels of Pop-Tarts, 4 barrels of vanilla cookies, 4 barrels of mixed cookies, 4 barrels of mixed premium dog food, which I find they really love the dog food. And I will have barrels of donuts. I will have barrels of all kinds of stuff. Sugar cones, candy. But what you see is the amount of money we put into the bait. You're not going to see that out of an outfitter. They got to make money. And that's not knocking anybody or anything else. They need to make money in order to run an outfitter business. So they're using different baits than I am, and different quantities. Where I'm giving that bear all he wants to eat, and I'm setting up those baits right on the edge of a swamp where there's a hardwoods they feed in, that goes into a swamp, and what I want is that swamp to be thick enough and nasty enough and cool enough. One of those swamps where when you walk into it, you feel the temperature drop about 10 degrees. Bears love that. They will come out of that swamp in the evening and feed, and at first you'll see on the cameras, you get all these bears coming in. And the number will go up, 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 and then all of a sudden you'll get a big boar in. And on the better baits, you'll see that boar start showing up all the time in daylight, chasing the other bears away. And he'll bed real close to that bait and monitor it. So you got to be able to sneak in there, set up in your stand without that boar knowing you're there. And that when that boar takes over, you'll watch the smaller bears go down and down and down, and less bait will get eaten because that big boar will protect it.
Yeah, we just coming up to our next bait and found this moose bed here. Moose been bedding down there. You can see it's all trampled down.
It looks like a giant deer bed. See how the back was laying?
Ginormous.
Wow. That's like over 6 feet long. And you see where the head was?
Yeah.
Where the rump was?
Yeah, that's a big moose.
Yeah. It was a
Definitely.
big moose.
Definitely a nice one.
I'd like to see one. There's a pretty good
Yeah,
chance of seeing one here.
Pretty cool, yeah, to see one come by.
One thing that's interesting, and I noticed this quite a time ago, was that when I put out these baits, I put a camera on those baits day one. And I've noticed a trend that these big bears seem to tend to show up the very first time in daylight, which is interesting to me. You'd think they'd sneak in at night in the cover of darkness, but the first time they come in always seems to be in daylight. I haven't put my finger on it yet, but it's happening so often that I think there's something to it. And it's going to be interesting this year to watch if that happens again as we watch the camera pics and see if those big bears show up the very first time in daylight.
So I just got the stand set up for a shot angle. What we got is we got this little low area that we're accessing through the grass, and then we come in here a little ways, go right up the tree. The tree's on our path to bait, and there's the bait. And we got this all set up, and Steve and John come over here and they say they found something underneath the stand. What do you got there?
Yeah, that's a bear shit right here.
Big pile of bear poop.
Pile right here, yeah.
And we haven't even baited yet. All these baits are still getting visited by bears. You see how we got a flag over there? That's our breezer, so we know which way the wind's blowing. In the past, we've hunted this spot out of that big poplar over there, and the wind, when it would get calm, would kind of suck to the bait and then come down our travel trail, and thermal would drop, and the bears always come from back there, and they come from over there, but they never come from down in that open grass. So we changed our route to come into here, and I know that the thermals from past history in the evening will drop right down this path, so we should be good on almost any wind here. And now we already got bear poop. Pretty cool. And we got that giant poop out in the road and those rocks flipped right here.
Yeah.
This is a good spot.
Good sign, yeah.
Yeah, good signs. The shot is perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm ready to just sit here for the evening and kill one.
Because this site is elevated, and you're just up in the air. You've got a nice entry angle.
Oh yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect, yep.
This year and this hunt, this was the most bear sign I have ever seen anywhere. It's probably because of the drought, I don't know, but man, is there the bear sign. There's also a lack of hunters up there. I think they cut way back on tags, and which is probably why it's taken 4 years to draw. It actually took us 5, but we missed a permit. I was late on a permit and they wouldn't give it to us, so it took us 5 years. But they cut way back on tags. There's less hunters, more bears, and this drought with less food, and I am seeing sign up there like crazy. There was flipped rocks everywhere. There was piles of bear poop around all the old baits where they can still smell the oil, and that oil is 5 years old.
Sure enough, bear poop. Look at that. Even the bait was marked where the oil was on the tree.
Yeah, I've been clawing at that.
Yeah.
One thing I need to say, I really need to stress this, is for safety reasons. If you're not an experienced person in the wilderness, this probably is not a hunt for you. You have to know how to survive if something goes wrong and how to get yourself out. If you do a hunt like this, I would strongly suggest you go with an outfitter first. Go to an outfitter that's reputable and hunt with him and see what he does and stuff, and talk to him about hunting before you go and you try it yourself. Now there is one big advantage. You know, I tend to talk about my advantage, but there's one big advantage over an outfitter has over me. If they bait these spots year after year after year, every bear in the area knows where their baits are. So they get quite a bit of action on their bear baits. Now that said, in this area, if you want to go to northern Minnesota, I would strongly suggest Jim Wallner. I've gotten to know him over the years. I've never actually met him in face to face, but he's got me out of some jams while I'm up there. I talk to him on the phone. He's a member of my website. Good guy, and a lot of guys from the website have hunted with him, and they have nothing but good things to say. Go up there and do a hunt with him before you go try and do it yourself. The hunting up there can be a lot more dangerous than what it appears in this video. You could get in some trouble when you're 30 miles off the road or whatever, back in the wilderness. It's not easy to even navigate through that type of forest. It is very, very thick up there and nasty. and there's a lot of nasty critters in that woods. Make sure you got a compass and you know how to read it. You can't just rely on your phone. Make sure somebody knows where you're at, knows you're up there, knows what area you're going into, knows where you park when you're up there. That's important because if you do get lost, you need to know somebody's going to come and find you, eventually anyways. Survive for quite a while with no food, but you can't survive for quite a while with no water. So if you venture out of sight of your truck, I would have some backup water on me.
So this is the sow bait. I hunted in that tree last time we hunted here, and I actually had 4 bears come in. I had a big boar come in from right here and was standing right there when I noticed that it was real windy out. And then he spooked and sped that way, and the wind was blowing like this. And then I saw one out here that spooked and went that way. And then a little bear came out of this tangle and came in here, looked that way where the wind was coming from, spooked and ran. And then that giant sow come up from in there, came in here and was eating. I shot it right here and ran right past me and died right over there.
Got me another one.
This is a good spot. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks good to me.
What's interesting is we found another pile of poop by this one.
On the way in.
It's been, and I mean, it's only 20 yards from the bait. It's amazing the amount of bear sign we're finding. Yeah, all the baits are having bear sign around them, and we haven't used them in 5 years. It's amazing. There's a real lack of food, and that's probably why they're checking these baits. Let's get out of here.
I hope you're enjoying the bear series. Please click the subscribe button, help support us. See you next time.